All right, now we're doing 7 cube volume of the largest cube that fits inside a given cylinder. This is by Colin Turner, and 87% of people like it. So we're going to find the volume of the largest cube that will fit inside a cylinder of a given height h and radius r. We're not going to round the result. The result needs to be within 0.01 error margin of the expected result. For the hint, there are 2 cases to consider. Will it be the cylinder's height or the cylinder's radius that determines the maximum size of the cube? If-else statements might be useful here. All right. So in this case, it's going to be either 3 or 7, and then it's going to get 27. So it's going to say 3 cubed is the answer. This one's going to say this, and it's hard to tell how that came about. All right. So we're just going to start over here, but the first thing we got to do is we got to visualize what is even going on right now. So I've got some stuff open over here. Here we've got a cylinder, and the thing is we need to imagine a cube going in here. And what would we need to know to get a cube in here? So a cube somehow is going to get through here. It's not going to be radius. The sides of the cube is not going to be the radius. But it is going to be something. So let's come over here to this square and circle thing. So let's imagine it's this base of the cylinder, and we can just use this to figure out what the dimensions of the sides are. So we can see right here, here's the radius, and we can see that here's the side of the cube no matter what, and here's the other side of the cube, and no matter what about either of those, about any of this, is that the hypotenuse of these 2 right angle forming sides is going to be 2r. It's going to be r plus r, so it's going to be 2r. So knowing that, we can use the Pythagorean theorem, right? And we know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And then the hypotenuse is c equals this. So we know this. The hypotenuse is 2r, right? And we also know that the side, these are both the same. So we could say s side squared plus side squared equals radius 2r squared. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So let's come over here, and before we do anything, let's conceptualize. Let's use a little algebra to get this into our heads. Let's come up here and say, let's do a little comment out. So we can make a little comment out section. Whoops. And then like that. And then right in here, we'll say something like this. So we know s squared plus s squared equals 2r. We know this. 2r. And then let's wrap this in parentheses. Squared. Okay, we know this is a fact because we've got this right here. 2r is going to be the hypotenuse of s, and s squared plus s squared equals c squared, which is 2r squared. So we know this for a fact. So let's simplify this down. We're going to go and make this 2s and then squared. That's what this is. That's not that. 2s squared. Okay, and that equals this thing right here. But we can simplify this too. We can square this and make it 4, and just say 4r squared. Okay, so we've got that going on. So now we can simplify this even more, and so we can divide out the 2 and the 4 and say s squared now equals 2r squared. Okay, and then we can get the square root of both sides, and we can say s equals 2 to the 1/2 power, because it's the square root, and then r. So the square root of 2r is what the side is, right? So that's it. That's what's going on right here. That's what this is. So basically, what we got to do is we got to use that on that logic over here, on the logic over here, where if the h, let's say the h is 1 unit tall and the r is like 5 units tall, the h is going to be the length of the cube, right? Is going to be, yeah, the length of the height or whatever of the cube. Whilst if the height is really tall and the radius is narrow, it's going to be this thing right here. That's going to be the size. So we're going to come over here and we're going to say if. Actually, first we're going to say let side equal, and then we're going to get this. We're going to turn this into JavaScript by saying 2 ** 0.5 times r. Okay, side now equals this, and we're going to say if height is less than side, what we're going to do is say return h raised to the 3rd power. And if not, we'll return side raised to the 3rd power. All right? Let's test this out. And would you look at that? There we go. That's some mathletics right there. All right? Let's attempt it. And there we go. Look at that. Look at that. But you know what? As much as we're going to pat ourselves on the back for being so logical, this is not as concise as it gets by any stretch. Okay, by any stretch of the imagination. We're gonna do some other stuff. Okay, we're gonna say something like const cube volume equals h comma equals h comma r comma, and then we're going to say s equals, and we'll just throw this right in there. We'll declare the s inside of the arguments list. All right. So what we're going to do first is we're going to cut this down by getting rid of these if statements. This if statement, right? And to do that, we're going to use this conditional or ternary operator, which is the only JavaScript operator that takes 3 operands: a condition followed by a question mark, then an expression to execute if the condition is truthy followed by a colon, and finally the expression to execute if the condition is falsy. And this operator is frequently used as an alternative to an if-else statement. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to say h less than s, okay? And that's our condition, question mark. We'll say h times 3, right? If not, we'll say s times 3. And let's check that out. And it works. But you know what? I see some repetition right here. Look at this times 3. Let's get rid of this one right here, and let's get to the s to this h, from the s to the h, and put some parentheses around it, and let's see what happens here. Test it out, and look at that. So how do you like that for readability? But yeah, if the height is less than the side, we'll say height times height cubed, if not side cubed, just like that. Let's attempt it, make sure there's no tricks. It's great, but you know what? That's not as concise as it gets. We can save some characters, some space in here. All right. Think about this. think about this. If we had a static method we could rely on, this would be just a little bit more concise. And we do. We've got the Math.min static method, which returns the smallest of the numbers given as input parameters, or infinity if there are no parameters. All right? So basically we get this syntax over here. We say Math.min value 1, comma, value 2, and we check it, and one of those is going to be the smaller. So we say Math.min h, comma, s times 3. Now look at that. 2 spaces we saved. If this works, let's see. And it did. And it did. And attempt it. Look at that. And submit it. All right. And now we're on. Oops. I was in I was in free code camp mode for a second. So we see right here, these folks did, this person did this. They did the math.pow, math.min, this stuff right here. And then right here, they used the toFixed method for some reason. And so they had to use the ternary plus operator, pardon me, the unary plus operator to turn this string. That's what all this would make, would be a string because of the toFixed method. Let's move over with this. How about that? toFix2 method. Because of that, it would make a string, so they needed to use the unary plus to turn it back into a number. All right. Here's the same thing going on. They did toFix2 for whatever reason. Maybe it was another thing. Who knows? Here, they're doing a Math.min height. Oh, and then they're just doing the actual equations in both of them. And there we go. You can check out the rest if you want. Let's go over to mine. Take your time. Take your time. Take your time. We ain't got nothing better to do. Did the internet cut off right at the end of this video? That would be not great, but not bad either. Okay, the internet's on, so it's something with Codewars. Whatever. Anyway, so we know what's going on, and y'all enjoy the rest of your day. See you next time. Oh, nope, never mind. Very much like it also. And we'll see you next time.